All right, welcome back to the Find Your Edge podcast. I am so excited, as I was just telling Justin Boyer here from Setup Events, to record this because I have so much faith and I have so much love for this sport, and I want everyone in our area and everyone in the sport to do well. So welcome to the show, Justin. I'm so glad you're here.
Awesome. It's great to be here, Chris. And I finally get to tell a little bit of the side of the story from Setup that Bill never wanted to tell over the last 35 years.
Oh my goodness. Okay, yes. So I was digging around and found that Setup Events started in 1994.
Yes, 1990. Yep.
So he was really like the OG. And when I got into the sport in 2003, and my first race was White Lake. So it was a Setup Events
Yep.
race, and I absolutely adored it. I can definitely credit him to part of the reason why I'm in the sport and doing this as a career is because I loved it so much. So I remember then that he was probably maybe the second largest race directing company, and that was in 2003. So where are you guys at now? Tell us about Bill. How is this getting shifted over to you? We got to learn all about you because you have a really cool background. So I'm going to let you take it away.
Awesome.
Justin.
Yeah, thank you. So I was not around at the beginning stages. I'm a West Coast baby that turned into a military kid. I call myself a kid. I'm 1 year away from retiring from the Marine Corps, but so I've been fortunate to travel around the country and even the world. And I landed over here on the East Coast 2018, found Setup Events. They were doing some races in South Carolina and North Carolina. And then I was able to start working for Bill, after the pandemic. Bill was really firing things back up. So I was able to come in as a staff, and then things just lined up to where I was able to become Bill and Linda's right-hand man, their race director, their guy that hauls the trailer out, the guy that hauls the staff. And I know we're going to say Bill a lot, but we cannot forget Bill and Linda. Linda has been there the whole time. She is really the puppeteer behind the curtains because she handles all the timing for all of Setup Events as well too. So I got my White Lake shirt on because I'm excited for White Lake. This year's it really is one of my favorite races as well too. I'm sure that's what keeps a lot of people coming back is going to the White Lake races, which is why we go twice a year.
Yes, it is such a great event, and I love that it's so beginner friendly, and then also so friendly to those who really want to take it to the next level and really
Right.
go super
When you have a
fast.
super
I mean,
shallow lake, it's a lot less intimidating. When you have a very flat bike course, it's less intimidating. And the run, in the summer, the run can get a little warmer, especially for our half, but for our short distance.
I mean, hot is actually the term perhaps we
Yeah.
could use, but like you're in North Carolina,
Right.
right? Like
Yeah. If you've been
it's not
training,
a
it's just
surprise.
another day in North Carolina.
It
Yep.
is. Yes. Yeah. And it's so nice that that water is like you can see.
Yes.
You can see
Yes.
things.
Yeah. Compared to a lot of other races around this area, it's really a beautiful destination, and it's really spectator friendly. It's just a great race. And if you haven't been to one of those White Lake races, we do it in May and we do it in September. We do halves, we do internationals, and we do short course as well too. So it's really what keeps people coming back into the sport. And we, as the production side, really try to make it great for the spectators and the athletes coming out to where they have a great race and they go home thinking about, man, that was probably one of my best races. I probably PR'd something.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And the distance between the water and transition is like not
Right.
far. So you're not doing this like massive, transition time. So that cuts back on overall
Right.
time too. And I know you mentioned that you have a half, you have Olympic, and you have sprint, but you also have some like unique
Yeah,
formats.
yeah. So in the fall, we do the double sprint down there. So the double sprint started in 1997. Bill was the first person to do the double sprint. Um,
Oh, good on him. Was that at Carolina Beach
that was
or did he do
originally
it
at
at White Lake?
Carolina
Yeah.
Beach,
Okay.
right? So it's the swim, run, bike, run, swim, finish on the beach format. He moved it down to Curry Beach, where they live down there, so they loved doing it there because they just got to wake up and walk out to the transition area. And we've just struggled. I'm going to try and do this, say this gently. We've struggled with the area because tourist season and just the area, they really cater towards the tourism in that area, and I don't think the city really sees our race production, or at least at our level, supporting their mission. So we had to move the race to White Lake. So now we do the double sprint in September. And we've had a lot of people asking for it to come back. So we just started it in 2024, brought it back after a 2-year hiatus, and I think it's picking momentum back up. People are talking about it.
That's so cool. I think, and you can certainly chime in on this. I feel like that is part of the future of the sport, is not just being swim, bike, run, but being something a little interesting, something a little different, something kind of fun and challenging, especially for anyone who makes their way into long course and then maybe is sort of boomeranging back, because historically and statistically, people who go long course, and I'm talking like half and full
Yep.
Ironman, tend to have a higher burnout rate. And then in our minds, and actually our sports psychologist, Coach Carly, is literally doing this as her
Yeah.
dissertation, of how there is this almost like level of blueness after long course racing. You sort of get used to this like hefty training load, and you're just like, oh my gosh, it feels so heavy. And to me, a double sprint is just freaking
Yeah,
fun.
it's a quick race,
Like,
and you're done in an hour and 7 minutes, an hour and 29 minutes. Something around there.
yeah, 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 totally. Okay, so I know you mentioned the town of Curie Beach, which is fine. There are always going to be little nuances to every city, I'm sure. So talk a little bit about how you're choosing some of these events. What are some of the potential challenges, whether it be, whether the town accepts you, or permitting, or cops, or I don't know, anything maybe that I'm
No,
missing. Like, what do you feel like people
you
need to
just
know?
listed a handful of our nuances. Thankfully, setup events has been rooted for so long, and our race series is very predictable, right? We haven't really added a whole lot of races over the years. We may have lost a couple. Lake Lure right now. I don't want to say we lost Lake Lure, but we are waiting for Lake Lure to rebuild right now after that devastating hurricane last year. Lake Logan, right? Lake Logan was a race we lost. They had a half as well too, and I think that ties into a lot of the challenges that we face on a day to day basis, right? Getting a location, getting approval from whether it's the state, whether it's UNCW, the campus, these private areas that we go into, like Pinehurst, getting the buy-in from these people to approve us. And I don't think they're just going to recognize anybody that wants to come in and be like, oh, I want to put a race on. They know that we've been doing this for 30 plus years, and we're going to put on a good event, and we're going to respect their area. So that's probably one of the biggest challenges, is just really maintaining that communication and that great relationship with the people that allow us to put on these sites, whether it's a state park, anywhere. The second thing you mentioned was police, right? We struggle with police. We compete with other events, especially when we go up to the Raleigh-Durham area and we're trying to put on a race and we're requesting overtime. These cops are getting offered overtime from many concerts, college football games, things like that. Those are just some of the competing events. We have found an alternative solution to getting police on overtime. We use a third-party program that provides people that are certified to assist with traffic. They're not authorized like a law enforcement official to stop traffic, but they are authorized almost like a road crossing guard, right? Near an elementary school. So we have some of those people that come out from this third-party program. They've been super supportive. They don't know anything about triathlon, but they come out and they're rooting on people as they're doing their job. So we're thankful for them as well. And then I think some of the other pieces is just weather. Mother Nature is one of those challenges that we face as a race production company. I can't control what the water temp's going to be. I can't control if there was a storm a few weeks ago and it blew debris into the water, right? I can't control. I can go out there with my leaf blower the day before and blow every sharp corner on the bike course and praying to give a cyclist the most prestige corner. And one rain, one truck can mess that all up, and then there's gravel and rocks on that corner. So we try our best to put on the best race, and sometimes Mother Nature has other plans, and makes it a little challenging for people, right? You want to be able to uh, have your best race, but sometimes you have to overcome those challenges. That's why triathletes are the best, because they are always thrown different challenges, and that's part of racing, is overcoming those challenges.
Yes, I think that's a great point because so many of us train in what we would otherwise think of as maybe pristine
Right.
conditions. Like you're training in the pool and you're on your trainer and you're, running on a treadmill or just running around your neighborhood or whatever. And then lo and behold, race day comes. Maybe the transition area is muddy and now you've got this extra. To me, that is not an inconvenience. It's an added opportunity to challenge yourself. Now, obviously, if you don't feel safe, then that's a different story. But it sounds like most people that you've had exposure to have a pretty good attitude about
Yeah.
it when they show
Yeah.
up.
I I've been reading some of the posts and comments on social media about what you were talking about earlier, just kind of that burnout, that blue. And I'll thank people in the comments who praise your more local races and your shorter distances, because I truly believe the culture at our races, and even some of our competitive race production companies in North Carolina, who we're all friends with anyways, um, the culture that the races that we put on are just different than when you go to this more, I guess you can call it more elite level. I'll argue that with anybody. I think we have some of the best athletes in the hemisphere, in the mid-Atlantic region, that are coming to our races, that are some of the best racers in the country, and we see that. So yes, they always come with a good attitude, and the ones that have a hard attitude, look, listen, I'm a two-time drill instructor. I've got word voodoo. I can change someone's attitude real quick.
You have word
Word
voodoo.
voodoo, yeah.
That is amazing.
So I'll go over there, and there's a lot of different approaches I'll take. I usually have a smile. People don't know that I'm a two-time drill instructor in the Marine Corps, unless something chaotic's happening. Then you hear me from about a mile away. But I can really read people well. I also have a law enforcement background, so I'm really good at reading people. And so if somebody's not having the best day, I can see that. I can read it, and I'm really good at kind of changing the tone. Bill's the master at this too. I've picked up a lot of this from Bill, because he'll have somebody screaming in his face, and Bill will just be like, "Look, well, this is what we'll do. Let me help you." And I'm just like, "Bill, how did you handle that?" He's
That's
yeah. I guess it comes
amazing.
with the experience. I'm learning. I'm trying to pick up as much as I can, shadowing him for the last few years.
Yeah. So it almost sounds like you have to have a little bit of thick skin to be in this business, but maybe not as much as perhaps some other sports. I know we were like you come from a motocross background and you were before we started recording talking a little bit about that. And that's not to throw a sport under the
Yeah.
bus, but maybe just a different energy, maybe a different expectation, and really how triathlon should and hopefully is fun for most people.
Yeah, I mean that's why we're here, is because it's a hobby. No, there's very few of us that are doing this at the elite level, and even the professionals aren't waking up, training, racing on Saturday. There's 5 people, 10 people in the world that are doing it at that level, they're not doing it for long either, because the toll that it takes. So at the end of the day, this is a hobby for all of us. It's something that keeps us around, and I will say, one of the things that really kept me around the triathlon sport was when you're at an award ceremony, and you're creeping up in the age brackets, right? And then you get to the 60-year-olds and the 70-year-olds. And then there's 2 80-year-olds out there, and you're just like, oh my goodness, these people are in so alert. They're in such incredible shape, and that's what kept me in the sport. is when I'm a grandfather one day, I want to be like that. I want to be able
Yeah.
to show my grandkids how great it is to be alive and the things that you can do, and be able to pick up grandkids, things like that. So um, those are some of the aspects that keep me around. Thick skin, yeah, you got to have thick skin if especially if you're working for me, if you're part of my crew, um, because while I'm race directing, I got my race directing hat. I'm walking around the transition area. People are like, "Hey, Justin," but if you're my crew knows this, and I love my crew. They're we're so synchronized. But the day before setup, I'm out there. Let's do this. Let's do this. You know, it's quick and to the point. But they know that that's my, I guess, my leadership style is I'm not gonna ask twice for that. So yes, my crew has very thick skin, but if us as a production side, we have to have thick skin, because you never know what somebody's gonna complain about, right?
But it sounds like that's generally few and far between.
Sure, yeah. I mean, one instance, maybe a race, every other race, and we usually we send people back in their car, send them home, and you know we make them happy. We our goal is to just put on a great race and bring you into the sport and this community. That's why you're here, right? You love this community so much that you've decided to find a home in the community, and that's what we really want to show a lot of these people that maybe just have a bad day or a bad race. That today wasn't a clear example of what we're all about.
Yeah, definitely. And I think so much of that rare experience is maybe an opportunity for somebody to grow.
Sure.
You know, they just so happen to complain a little bit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So again, that's why I love this sport. Is it's like, okay, I may have had a bad day. I may have had a really bad day. Did me yelling in the race director's face, was that warranted? Probably not. So I can go home, cool off a little bit, and maybe reflect on that, and like how can I take this opportunity to be a better human, be a better racer, be a better community member, to lift others
Yeah.
up, and the race
Yeah.
directors, because we want to keep you
I
guys.
can say I've never gotten to a screaming match with anybody. I'll win. I know that, but that's not what I'm here to prove.
So
I'm
don't
here to make
try.
everybody happy. And you got to understand, we have children athletes. So there's so many children coming up in the athlete form right now. Um, Children spectators, family spectators. We're not trying to ruin the day for everybody just because you had a bad day. Let's go over into the corner. Let's talk about this. If you want to beat me up verbally, I'll take the words, and you know, there's just too much good going on at a race to mess up everybody's day, right?
Yeah, yeah. Talk a little bit about the cost of the sport, because I feel like you guys because you've been around so long, I feel like you guys do a really great job at keeping things
Yeah.
affordable. How do you feel like that ties into maybe the future of the sport? Are there certain challenges that go along with various aspects of the cost of the sport?
Yeah, the putting on a race is not cheap, especially if you're putting on a smaller race, right? We're not Ironman. We're not getting 3,000, 3,500 athletes showing up. Um, our races range from a slow or a rainy day is 200 racers to, you know, our more average, which is, 3 to 500, and then some of our bigger races, like Wrightsville Beach, we're cracking over 1,000. So things got more expensive from my understanding. I'm not the accounting guru, but Bill and I communicate a lot about the expenses, and I can tell you, after COVID, a lot of things went up, and kudos to Bill and Linda, because that was one of their main points was, just because the expenses are going up, we're not going to jack up the prices. You can go to everybody else's race site in the area and look at the cost of a triathlon, and then go look at setupevents.com and look at the cost of our races. And you might think, oh, this is a low pro a low production race. No, I promise you, our production is going to be more elite than a lot of those other races, a lot of our competitors, even though we're a lot buddies. But internally, and that's one of as a Marine, very competitive nature, I want to see this company succeed. I want Bill's name to be a greater legacy than it already is right now. Which is hard to beat, because you can go anywhere and everybody knows Bill Scott. If you raced White Lake in 2003 or 2005, and you've even left the sport, you know Bill Scott. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
with a competitive nature, I really want to make the races just better than the last race. And how do we do that? And how do we do that with not gouging the customers, with the overhead costs? So Bill's really been creative over the years in managing the budgets. And at the end of the day, a triathlon company or a race production company owner, we're not driving Bentleys, and we're here because we love the sport. We're not here to make a bazillion dollars off of athletes.
Well, I have a great appreciation for what you guys do, not only because you were my first race and, because we send athletes there all the time, but as a race production company ourselves. Now, granted, we put on one race, and because we put on one race, we can't make it as cheap as you
Right.
can,
Right.
right? Like that's
Right.
just it's just not it's just not possible, right? So going with a company like yours who does it all the time, who has the timing equipment, who has you guys have all of the
Everything.
stuff. We don't have all of the
Yeah.
stuff, right? So that makes it more costly for us. So that I feel like it's not a low production opportunity. It's like, oh, this is affordable because they do it all the time and they're
Yeah.
really good at
It's
it.
a lot easier when we've
Yeah.
got 2 trailers full of equipment. We've got 2 storage facilities full of equipment that has been, some of the stuff's been gathered over the 30 years. Bill and we're going to go to the recycling center here shortly, but we have all the equipment, right? So it's easy for us to show up, and when we do so many races a year, we go on autopilot. When we go to set up, whether it's a Viking Dash race, right, which is coming up, or it's our triathlons, or even the swim races that we put on, we're all just so autopilot. We go and set it up, and I think that's what also keeps the cost down, right? Time equals money, right? So if you're able to go out there and set up a race, and your hours are shorter for everybody, and you have all the equipment, you don't have to outsource anything. That's I think what's kept us stable versus a lot of these other people that try to put on races. And if you're coming into
Yeah.
the sport trying to put on a race just to make money, you're not going to last, because one, uh, you know, if you're going to do it, you got to do it right. And it takes time. This isn't I'm going to put on one big race and I'm going to just step away from the sport. Like, it takes time to really invest yourself into this community. And there's some other great people that are doing it really well. And I look up to a lot of these people, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Tom Clifford.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
well, we partner
Out of
yeah,
Wilmington,
yeah.
right?
So Tom
Yeah.
Clifford's been a great help. He actually partners with us with the White Lake Half, the pro-am that we put on. So he's been another guy. I don't look at him as a competitor. I look at him as a friend in the sport that is willing to help us put on races to help the community, because he's another guy like you and like me that just love the people.
Yeah, so fun. I will have to say, and hopefully this makes it to him, I am so impressed that he can put on a race and do the race. That's next level. Like that doesn't even compute in my brain. I could not put on a race and then also have like my race face on. Like that just so kudos to you,
Yeah,
Tom.
there's a couple.
You
I'm
can
not at
do
that
that.
level yet. I think I get a little upset when I see people doing that. I'm like, wow, you have time to put on a race and go race. Like, who's watching the aid stations? But he's got people covered for that. Me, I like to sit from the bird's nest or the sniper post and just make sure everything's good. I'm not at that
Yes.
level
I,
yet.
I I call mine the mom
The mom
nest. I
nest.
like how you have like the military version. Mine is the mom. I'm like, oh my gosh, is everybody
Yeah,
okay? Are my staff okay? Are the athletes okay? Like, are my volunteers okay? Is everybody good? So yeah, it's next level. It's a lot of work. But yeah, having the right staff in place is massive,
yes,
you know.
yes.
And volunteers, talk
Oh
about
my.
that. Like, is it hard for you guys to find volunteers? Like, what's that look like over the
I've
years?
you know I've seen a roller coaster of certain areas, certain races, certain times of the year. Yes, volunteers are hard to come across, and we try to incentivize our volunteers with something, whether it's a discounted race in the future, whether it's some swag or something like that, because we are very appreciative of anybody that volunteers to come out and support a race. Now, if you've never volunteered before, like, that should be on your 2026 challenge list right there, is just go volunteer for a race, because you see so much of the inside of the production of the race by just volunteering, whether you're working an aid station, whether you're supporting in the transition area, you're at the finish line, you know, anything. There's so many volunteer spots at any race, that you will learn. And as an athlete myself, I took that as an advantage point, that I was learning some inside of the sport that I could take to my next race. You know, I know that the people handing me water are probably volunteers, and they probably don't know how to hand me a water bottle, and that's just something super basic. But when you're in need of water at an aid station, and we see the pros do this all the time, they think they're getting a water bottle handed by this elite water bottle hander person, and you see the pros drop water bottle, water bottle, water bottle, water bottle. Well, guess what? You didn't get any water. So, but when these are volunteers and you've done it yourself, and you've sat there and handed people water cups, you learn so much. So yes, volunteers are hard to come across. That's my selling point. Please volunteer for a race. The ones that come out, they're usually affiliated with the race in some capacity. Whether, we get a lot of National Honor Society high school kids that need some hours. And so those kids are great, because, where they are in their academic career, they're already ahead of their peers just being a part of an organization like that. And so when they come out, they're super helpful, super friendly. Then we get family members, right? A wife, a husband, some kids. And those are motivating, especially when you get a bunch of kids out there that are just waiting for dad, but they're yelling at everybody, or they're waiting for mom to come by and they're just screaming at anybody that looks like her. So that's another side of the volunteers. And then the third piece that we utilize, and hopefully I'm not selling Bill's big secret out, but we get a lot of the local JROTC programs.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Oh man, I
Yeah.
probably just blew
Hmm.
it then. So, but we have a good,
Well, I mean, but they, like you mentioned, they get
yes, yes.
hours,
And when
right?
you're part of a JROTC program, you're part of either a Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, or an Army JROTC, which has some discipline and some structure. And so when these kids come out, they're a lot more disciplined and obedient to orders, than most of your 14, 15, 16-year-old kids. And they also have a boss there, right? It's some sort of military official, typically a retired one, that heads that whole program. So those groups have been great. I will give a huge shout out, up in Troutman Mooresville area, the South Iredell High School Marine Corps JROTC. Not to put them at the top, but man, those kids, go out to the Lake Norman's sprint, or the Charlotte Viking Dash, and you'll see these kids out there. And man, that retired lieutenant colonel and the retired mass sergeant, they've got those kids. Like, I want to put my kids in their program, because they've got those kids just on it.
That's so cool. Yeah, Justin, you may have just created a challenge because my kid is in Navy
Oh
Junior
no, I love
ROTC,
it.
and so, so I might have to challenge their group to come volunteer for our race or any of y'all's
Yeah,
races, and see who shows up a little bit better, the Navy or the
yeah.
Marines.
Oh, all right,
So
all right. I see what you
game
did there.
on.
Yeah, they're
Also, this is coming from an Air Force brat, so and anytime I tell anybody that, they're like, especially in the Army, they're like, "Oh, you were just in the Air Force." No, I wasn't personally in
yeah,
the Air Force. I just followed
just
my dad
traveled
around,
around.
but just
Short,
traveled
short.
around.
Let me give
Yep.
you a 10-second. I was actually trying to join the Air Force, but I went on the day after Thanksgiving, known as Black Friday, to the recruiting station, and the Air Force recruiting station was closed. I
Oh
should have
man.
took that as a sign that life probably would have been a little easier in the Air Force, because the
Yeah,
only one open was the Marine
they were
Corps
off.
one. So
Justin, I respect what you do. Thank you for your
no,
service. I don't even yeah, following my dad around was enough. Yeah, I could not imagine.
Bless the kids
So,
that
yeah.
do it, and try to be in sports. I got a 15-year-old daughter that's had to pack up and move a handful of times, and we're thankful for the children of service members because they go through a lot.
Yeah. But I mean, at least from my experience, I felt like, and I know it might sound a bit of a shock, but I am definitely an introvert. And that was a way for me to be like, okay, starting all
Yep.
over, got to meet new friends, got to get in the community, got to, show up and do your thing. And yeah, I mean, I've met some really great people where otherwise I think if I lived in the same place, I think life would be very
Yeah, you get
different.
exposed to so
So,
many different things, and sports, right? Like, so in certain areas you do certain sports. One of my friends just came from 6 year or 5 years in Japan. His son played a lot of baseball. Um, just where you're at, just geographically changes. So the kids I think they get an opportunity as much of a challenge they face growing up and on all the hard stuff. I think military kids get a lot of different opportunities that, somebody that just grew up in small town USA all the way to high school or even college doesn't get.
yeah, a little different. So, where do you think, based on your experience thus far in the sport, where do you think the sport is headed?
Hmm. You know, I think I'm a stats nerd. So I'm constantly looking at the demographics of what age groups are looking at our races. Just on the internet. I'm looking at who's showing up in racing. I'm seeing which classes are stacked. And then you turn the whole personal side to it, somebody my age who's got children. I don't have time to train this and that as much as I probably did back in the day, or that I might have in about 10 or 10 years when all the kids are gone. I'm gonna have a lot of time to train, and
I know, because Justin, you gotta. I know you mentioned your 15-year-old, but you also have a 1-year old at
yeah,
home.
yeah.
You're busy.
We love
Yeah.
kids, and I love girls. I got three girls, so
Oh, that's
I think
awesome.
that's what really
That's so great.
melts my heart. But we have such a wide range of demographics of ages. We've got kids that are 9 years old that want to race, and we've got people in their mid 80s racing. And I think that the generation right now that is, I don't want to say any offensive words, but the 50 plus generation, 60 plus generation, I feel like they have done such a great job at making the sport fun and being able to show people, And I can recall some instances at races where I'm an athlete and some guy just starts talking to me, and I was nervous. I didn't know anybody at the race, right? So you're not going to see that from a 20 or a 30-year-old person. It's the more experienced, more knowledgeable, more wisdom people that, and I don't even know if they're doing it, but they're breaking the ice for me in something that maybe I was uncomfortable with. So I think those people, they have a huge responsibility still, even though they're just showing up for a race, to really continue to show this newer generation of the teenagers, the 20-year-olds, and even some of the 30-year-olds that are just getting introduced to the sport, how important it is that our culture, triathlon culture, is the most important thing. I think they owe that, and I don't want to demand on that from them, but I think that's where we're going to head. Is as long as those people can continue to show the younger generations how great this is, we're going to produce great people in society. The more triathletes we have because of our culture, um, I think a lot of people are going to start coming back to shorter course races. Right? I think that a lot of people put it on their cork board or put it on their calendar that they want to go do a long distance race, whether it's a half or a full. And they start putting the money out for it, which it's expensive, right? They get a
Yeah.
trainer,
Yeah.
they entry fees, hotels, flights, bike carriers, everything involved with the expenses of this race. And then once they financially get committed to it, then they have to mentally get committed to it, right? I have to train. My alarm's going off at 5:30 in the morning. I'm putting my running shoes on and I'm going running. And I think that's why we see so much burnout, is because that lifestyle is not sustainable for long. And especially if you got a 1 year old like me. Like, you think I'm telling my wife, all right, babe, I'm going for a 75-mile bike ride after work today. I'll see you. Make sure dinner's ready. No, I'm getting my head chopped off. So,
Yeah. And I also love how this population tends to underinflate what they're going to do. They'll be like, see you in 2 hours. And like four
right.
hours
Oh, that's
later,
me.
they're
Yeah,
like,
that's my signature move.
yeah.
That is my signature move. So,
Yeah.
where I
Yeah.
see us with the shorter distance racing, I see a lot of people coming back. We really saw the long distance racing get very popular, and I think I still hold it to a high pedestal. On Sunday mornings, I'm watching live timing, or I'm watching the video footage of races because I enjoy it. I'm into that. Um,
Yeah.
but I think some people leave, and they don't want to come back after they got that medal or they achieved that race. And I think that's where our style racing, the shorter style racing, is going to keep people with the longevity. Why? Because how much training do you do you really need to do a sprint triathlon? You know, uh, I'll go.
And it's healthier in my
Yes,
perspective.
yeah,
You know, you're socially, mentally, physically healthier to be training not as many quantity. And I know some people just love training,
yes,
and that's fine. But from my perspective, from a longevity perspective, I think short course is an easier way to sustain the sport for longer.
yeah.
So, yeah,
I
also
enjoy
enjoy
it. I like it.
it.
I like doing. I'm the sprint king, right? We have Olympics, but I'm the sprint king. Why? Because I could ride my bike twice in the month, go on a couple runs, and maybe get in the pool a month. Sometime in the month before a race, and I can show up and I can race. That's what
Yeah,
I love about it.
yeah,
And then
yes, agreed. I always sort of joke that I like to be home by
yeah,
breakfast. So, just like get out, get her done, come back and have me an egg sandwich.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah, we
that's
we
what
have
I'm
a
talking
we
about.
have an athlete. The great thing about our racing too is I know so many people that have become my friends, right? Just our regulars. But we have a guy, his name's Adam, and he is fast. All right. I'm not going to throw his last name out because I don't want him to take offense to this, but it's a sign of appreciation. He wins his age group. Sometimes he wins races overall, but he is known for getting in the car and going home right after he comes across the finish line. He might shake a couple hands, whatever, but he's here for business, finish the race, and then probably mowing the lawn before we're even taking the finish line inflatable down.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess you can speaking of like introverts, like that just might be his
Yeah.
jam, right? Get done, maybe get back to the family, or maybe he's peopled
If
out.
if he sticks around for a
And that's okay
if he
too.
sticks around for an award ceremony, I like to make a big deal out of it. You know, I'm like, look, everybody, Adam stayed for awards. So I love him though, and he's such a tremendous athlete too. If you watch him, his form is just phenomenal in every aspect, and you can tell that he takes the time to really train. But at the same
Yeah.
time, he's managing life, right? I'm here to race, but I got to get back home because I got something else to do too.
Yeah. I mean, who's not, right? Like we all have things. Um that reminded me again what you were talking about with some of the I don't want to say the word OLD, the more mature
Yeah,
generation
experienced.
of
Yeah.
triathletes. Yes. So I know you were like, I'm not going to put that expectation on them. I kind of am. I think that they have an obligation to keep the sport around. And in my mind, that's just like generally chatting with just like making conversation. I remember it was probably at White Lake, because you're standing in the water getting ready to race, and men and women are a little
Yep.
different in the water. But you like the men are just like all over each other, and they're just like so aggressive and doing their thing, and all of us women are standing around like, I'm so sorry if I hit you. My bad. I'm not intending to, just like, oh, ha, just it's just like a lighter energy, a lighter mood. But maybe it's just talking to your other, to some of the younger generation. And what do you think, if you were to set an expectation for some of the more mature triathletes, what would that be to you, to making some of the newer generation feel
Yeah.
welcome?
I Everybody's personality is different, right? Introvert, extrovert, things like that. But I think if for our crowd that is experienced with the wisdom, that have been around the racing, I think just being friendly and being able to recognize that you were in their shoes once too. You showed up to your first half, or maybe people sign up for an Ironman. Hey, this is my first Ironman, and I'm nervous as can be. And if you see those people, really just being friendly. You don't have to go above and beyond. Just, hey, how's it going? I mean, and in North Carolina, we have no problem talking with everybody out here, but we get a lot of athletes from other states as well too. And or
Yeah.
transplants that just moved to North Carolina. So, and I say that as a guy that grew up in California, Los Angeles, but I call myself a chameleon. I like blending in wherever I go, pick up a little accent. And so the North Carolinians, they're great. And I can say that about South Carolina. That's where I'm currently residing too. Is we're just friendly people, but remember to bring that with you to the races too, because that's how it should be. I mean, if that's what's really happening on the women's starting line, I might start putting myself in a couple brackets back, because that's what I want to race with.
I know you should. I mean, you should mic us all up. It's next level. It's so funny. And I think some of that just makes you feel more comfortable in the moment.
Yeah.
Like, we're all out here, we're all nervous, we all want to do the best we possibly
Yep.
can, which is why, I'm going to crack a joke, or, talk about the wedgie I had
Yeah.
this morning, putting on my wetsuit. Like, like
It's funny you say that.
here we are dressed in rubber in these little tight suits, and, you can't help but be a little vulnerable about
Yeah.
out there.
Just being a normal person. And you brought up a great point. I try to do that on race mornings, because usually I have the microphone in my hand before the race, right? I'm doing a little bit of everything, but one of the things I really enjoy is having a mic in my hand, and really, sometimes I'm cracking a joke, right? Sometimes I'm getting hard on people because they're not following directions, and then I crack a joke, and maybe the people that I was correcting didn't like the joke, but everybody else thought it was funny, and it kind of
Yeah.
lightens the mood. And I love talking about specifically when the females are on the start line, when we're doing like a beach start, and the men are creeping their toes in the water, and I'm like, all right, gents, back up. We'll wait another minute, until we can all follow directions, and then they go, and then the women get on the line, and I'm just like, well, I know I don't have to say this twice, because the women listen and they know how to follow direction. And that's just me lightening the mood, and trying to get everybody to relax before the race day. And I feel like I have that power, so why not share that with everybody to just kind of help start the race a little bit better.
That's awesome. Well, Justin, I think Bill made a really great decision, handing the reins gradually into your hands, because it sounds like you're making setup events a very welcoming place. And I think that that's what our sport needs to be. Because if you ever think of triathlon like, oh my gosh, I could never do a triathlon, absolutely you can. You can learn how to swim, you can learn how to ride a bike, you can learn how to love running, and then get into all the fun stuff like the transitions and eating gels with one hand, and like
Yeah.
all the weird tricks that you would never think to ever say that you've done, but then you're like, wow, I did that. That's really
Stealing
cool.
my daughter's hair
And then
tie
keep
to
doing
put
it.
it on my pedal, to hold my pedals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you got a hair tie? I need that hair
Yeah.
tie.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And she's like, yes, Dad, let's go. That's so cool. So Justin, how can we support setup?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Um, we're putting on. I don't want to call this like Bill's final tour, but
Yeah.
Bill's getting ready to retire. He wants to enjoy time with his grandkids, and so he's put a lot more responsibility on me, and I love it, because He's treated me so well. And so he's going to be at a lot of our races this year, but less frequently from here on out, probably after 2026 series. So our 2026 series starts with the Viking dashes, right? They're 5Ks and 10Ks, trail runs, and you can dress Viking themed. And they're really cool. And we do them all over. I think there's 5 different races, and they're all over the state. So if you haven't been to one, and what people go out there for is the finisher medal.
Okay, is this
Have
super
yeah,
cool?
you're gonna have to take a look at it, or if you're listening, take a look at it. But this year it's this huge Viking boat, right? They did
Okay.
a Thor hammer. They did they did an axe. They've had a few different cool medals over the years, and that's what a lot of people come out for is the new medal. So you have to check out the new medal. It's posted on our social and on the race websites. And then in March, we kick
Cool.
off the triathlon series, North Carolina Triathlon Series, South Carolina Triathlon Series. Jeremy Davis manages all the South Carolina races, and I go up and put on all the North Carolina races. Um, but yeah, we're starting off in March, and we take a break in the summer usually because it gets pretty warm, and then we pick it back up. So if you are interested, setupevents.com, or you can go on our socials, set up events, or at NC Tri Series, at SC Tri Series, and you can find anything there. We've got a race for everybody.
Yeah, you guys really do. Um, we're gonna have to like create some sort of code word, Justin, that if people have listened to this and they go up to you and they say something, because I did another podcast with the race director of Ironman North Carolina,
I listened to
and
that too.
they were recognizing her, and they were like, oh my gosh, I don't want to say something to her because I'm afraid that I'll get a
Yeah,
DNF because she it means business, and Sammy does mean
I love.
business. There's
I've never personally met Sammy. I listened to that podcast as well too, and I've only heard great things about Sammy. Sammy and I we're gonna come together at some point, but yeah, I think that was
Oh,
fun.
you absolutely will. She's a little spitfire. Yeah, and I'm so glad that she's got that North Carolina race because it's again just sort of keeping the community
Yep.
together. She does great things in that
Yeah.
respect. So yeah, what should people come up to you and say? Like, there's gotta be
Oh
something good
man,
that they
I
can
don't know.
sort of break
Well,
the ice
what
with
is this
you.
design on this wall?
Is this like I was just thinking when you were saying that you lived in South Carolina, I was like, is that like
It's a
I don't know, it's like a
wallpaper my wife
palm
decided
tree?
on, but I don't know if you know what type of uh, shape or design this is. You could just say that shape or design or weird wallpaper or something
Yeah, I
like
know.
that.
Like maybe it's like a lychee on the. I relate everything to food as a dietitian, so maybe that's what it. I don't know. Yeah, if you guys can see this on YouTube and see what that is, then you can say, "Hey, Justin,
Yeah,
lychee,"
lychee
or
or
I don't know.
yeah, green wallpaper. So
Yeah. So hopefully, people are out there listening and getting excited about your events, and will go race and or volunteer. I would
yeah,
assume.
yeah.
Yeah, you got to compete with the Navy and the Marines
Whew,
here,
yeah.
the
Those
ROTC
kids. Those
kids.
kids move. So if you're gonna volunteer, no, it's great. Yeah, come race, come volunteer, even just come out, take pictures. If you're getting
Yeah.
into photography, we have a couple photographers that come to the races. But if you wanted to mess around with a camera, athletes love pictures of themselves. So
Yes.
we try to get photographers out as much as possible. But I've seen just some random people come out and just taking pictures, and taking video, and sharing them with the athletes after. And we're us athletes. We love a good picture of ourselves.
Yes, you got to yeah, you put on the race face and then you see the camera and you're like instantly like, "Oh, I got to, you're like, are you really having that
Yeah.
much fun?" Hopefully you are, but also, game face to silly face or
Yeah. Or
whatever.
if you're a
So
vendor
cool.
and you want to come out, we've had vendors coming out to the races. I mean, we're small, but we've had several vendors come out. If you, I had another one that was good. Vendors, volunteers, staff. If
Vendors,
if
volunteers.
you're a seasoned
Oh yeah.
triathlete
Yeah,
and you
okay.
think you've got what it takes to be part of my staff, keep up with the people that work with me. I'm always interested in bringing some extra people out to work. You're part of our team. We're a family. We go to dinner before the races. Um,
That's awesome.
we but we run. It's We are all athletes and as it is, and then when we are working, we're pushing each other as well too. So, but if you think you want to come out and staff a race too, I'll put you through the little ringer and see if you pass the first test. So
I feel like that was another
everybody loves
challenge.
a good
So many
challenge.
challenges
So
right now. Yes, totally. So good. Awesome. All right, Justin, thank you so much for coming on from Setup Events. I wish you guys the best and tell Bill Scott all the
yeah,
love for 2026. It's going to be an amazing year. And however we can support you, which now I'm feeling this volunteer challenge
yeah,
coming
that's
on.
that's the.
So,
I might make a post about it on our social. The 2026 challenge is to volunteer for a
yep.
race.
And for anybody who is an experienced triathlete, you guys, you are honestly, I would say, some of the most valuable folks because, especially in like key areas like bike dismount mount lines, when you kind of gotta you gotta
Yeah.
know a little bit of what's happening so that you can bark the right orders. I mean that in the kindest and
No, and
gentlest
that's
of
what you're doing.
ways.
You got to be short, crisp,
Mhm.
get to the point because that person's
Yep.
only got a few seconds and that they're listening to hear
Yep.
instructions. So yeah,
Yeah, race brain is a real thing, y'all. Like you might have, I mean, and these are smart people. Triathletes are smart, but you put them in a race, we're gonna have a little bit of, our brain's gonna fall out a little bit. So you have to, keep them going in the right
yeah.
direction. So
You haven't seen a volunteer lose their mind about people not dismounting at the red line. That's something to be a part of right there.
yeah.
An athlete not understanding why every person's not dismounting at this line.
hmm Yeah, it's hard when you're coming in hot and somebody's screaming at you. Yeah, you gotta be on point. You gotta be on point.
Yeah.
So
Challenge
good.
to all
Love
those
it.
athletes: come out and volunteer for at least one race.
That's right. Let's go, y'all. Let's pack setups races in 2026, either the Viking Dashes or their South Carolina races, North Carolina races. So great. Justin, thank you so much from Setup Events, and we appreciate you and look forward to seeing you out on the
Yeah,
race
thanks,
course.
Chris. Appreciate it.